Hello, America. I'm Dan Ferris.
I'm Michael Williamson.
Coming to you live from the fine conference room at the greatest little agency on the prairie, Complete Media, Inc.
It's the coldest little
It's a little chilly. It's a little nippy. You know, some HVAC people, keep them close to you.
Yes.
That's all there is to it.
What are we going to talk about today, Dan?
We're going to dive into what I simply refer to as the tortoise and the hare.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I remember that parable.
That's what it is.
Parable.
And who ended up taking that thing, man? The tortoise. The tortoise.
Actually, I think
right?
it was...
It's been a long time. I
think it was the alley cat.
See?
People
That's
forget there was an alley cat.
This is so timely because it was just today. I had this conversation exactly 5 hours ago with the director of an organization. What we're talking about today is long-term marketing strategic planning. Long-term. The pit, I think a lot of organizations fall into. It's let's hurry it up, get some stuff out there, hope for the best.
Yeah, they act out of desperation.
And here's what happened.
It's cause and effect.
Talking to this gentleman, smart guy, nice guy, runs a great organization, and he shared with me. He said, about 2 years ago, we ran into a little bind. Do re mi bind.
Oh, sure.
And he said, so somebody came in and visited with us from the media, and we wrote a check for $12,000 for 2 months, and threw a message out there. I said, oh, okay, all right. And the result of that was, he said, yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that.
Well, it's a learning moment.
It is a learning moment. And so when we get deeper into the discussion about what happened and what if, and if we would have done this approach, would that have made a lot more sense? He said, yes.
And of course, that approach was predicated on the idea of long-term planning, thoughtful, strategic, well-meaning planning, and that's why we're here today to talk about that. And that's the biggest struggle that we have with the clients that we work with, is getting them to embrace that. It's a little intimidating. It's like everything else. It's like when you get engaged to be married, and it's going to be 12 to 16 months before you even put the ring on the finger. There's a lot of planning, and
I was engaged once for 14 years.
14 years, and it's very intimidating. So there's a lot to consider. So, and people don't like to be faced with that. They like a quick fix. They like a quick solution. They like to identify the problem and say, what do we got to do to make this go away? And in marketing, that's probably the worst approach you can take. Ergo, the $12,000 out the window. And we have these discussions quite a bit with the clients that we work with. So, the key to setting those achievable goals is to spend time evaluating your current situation. Not like you just shared with us. They got into a bit of desperation and they went, let's do something quick.
Well, it becomes a ready, fire, aim.
Yeah, it's sit down with all the prudent parties at the table and have that conversation. Communication's important in everything that you do, but when it comes to creating those long-term goals, get some people at the table, get some minds that can share and identify what exactly your current situation is.
And you need to dig deep.
Oh, absolutely, you need to dig deep. You can't just talk about what's happening today. It's what's happening today, what happened yesterday, what do we foresee happening down the future, and what plan can we put in place that will effectively deal with the challenges ahead and the goals that we want to accomplish.
I brought visual aids today just because this is important.
Your sock puppet?
And I will bring this with me when I go meet with someone who I think I'm going to run into that, where they're going, well, no, we just, we're doing some of this and we're doing some of that. These days, it is amazing. This is the big book of things that can be done with media. There are essentially 800 or 900 different points.
That's not the one with your doodles in it, though.
No. Every single element in this binder is a succinct point of marketing. It is part of a strategy. Every single one of them. It has gotten to the point where just throwing something out there or just buying some advertising 20, 30 years ago, fantastic. You having a sale? Good for you. It just doesn't work that way anymore. We're talking everything from mission to vision to marketing objectives to target market profiles to closing ratios to net profit to client value to website to search engine to digital to social to
and you can wrap that all up in a nice little package. It's called authenticity. Your goals have to be authentic. They can't be that, let's go buy some airtime over the next 2 months. For instance, leading up to the holidays, how many times do you see people who rarely, if ever, advertise or do anything throughout the year, and those 2 months leading up to the holidays, they're throwing money out the door at whatever it is, and it's traditional marketing, TV, radio, print, and they're hoping that that's going to cover their nut, that that's going to make their year, and that's good to go. And then when they catch their breath, the holidays are over, and they look at what the fallout is. And they realize that they put in a lot more money than they probably should have, and the return on that investment was far short of what their expectations, or God forbid, their needs were. Expectations are one thing, but when you need to hit, make a nut and you don't, now you start the new year behind the eight ball. So you have to have realistic and authentic expectations and goals.
And something with legs. Again, long term, the mindset of, where do you want your company, where do you want your business to be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now?
How often do you ask the question? It's the simplest way to put that. What do you think? What do you think will happen? It's not that tough of a question to put that in front of people. What do you think? What's your gut? If you've been doing it long enough, you should have a reasonable parameter to pull from. If you're new to whatever endeavor you're following, then hopefully you've done some research. But it's those ones that have got at least 5 years in business and maybe more. That's a very valid question. What do you think will happen based on your past experiences, based on what you see ahead? And if you have absolutely no conceivable answer to that question, then you're not having those conversations. You're not evaluating what your current situation is. You're not keeping track of what the trends are in your business. And so how can you sit down and formulate a long-term goal? Those are the things you have to do. It's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be necessarily fun, but it is very necessary.
Yeah, and another common thread I'm hearing, I'm glad you brought that up, is I will hear from business owners, decision makers who have been in business for 10 years, 12 years, 20 years, 30 years, and say, you know what? I've been doing what I do for a long time, and in some real basic ways, it's not working anymore. It's just not working anymore. And
they're banging their head against the wall because they continue to do it, thinking something's going to break loose.
There is that rare exception if you are event-driven. Let's take, I love this one the best, a Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure. That's once a year, it's nationwide, it's a one-time turn it and burn it. But here's the thing. That goes across all demographics. It goes across absolutely everything. Last time I checked, everybody in America is pro-boob. And that's why it works so beautifully. But you as a business owner, you can't do that. Just fly it up the flagpole once and hope for the best, man. It's long-term, it's strategic, it's smart, it's focused, and it does take some work. And that's what we can help you with.
So, and another thing that comes into play that we've found is once you identify those goals and those things that you need to accomplish to be successful, identify, more importantly, is how to do it when it makes sense so that it doesn't make it harder to do down the road. Does that resonate with you? Do you know what I'm saying there? It's so many people, they identify a goal, they have a strategy, they have a plan, and then something gets in the way. And they say, oh, you know what, we're going to have to put that on hold, or something came up. And then 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the road, they go, okay, let's go deal with what we put on hold some time ago. And all of a sudden, there's a whole new set of challenges. Maybe there's new players. Maybe there's new economic issues. So it's important that you stick, when you put that plan in place, that you say, this is the timetable. You have to execute those tasks in a reasonable manner, because if you don't, you'll find it's like anything else. It's like your home. If your home needs a coat of paint and you think you're going to do it in April, and then you go, well, no, I'm going to do this instead, or then May goes by, then June, then July, and then now it's August, and it's 110 out, and your house needs a more of a paint job than it ever did, but now you've got new challenges. You've got extra expenses. You've got more things to overcome. Same thing with marketing. Is once you put that plan in place, stick to it. It can change. It can ebb and flow, but it has to be an intelligent conversation. It has to then be adjusted so that it makes sense. And again, you identify what the task at hand is and what the ultimate goal is, and you communicate that with all the people that need to be communicated with. We run into it occasionally. It's not very often because, like we said time and time again, we exclusively work with small business owners. But when there are more than one or two decision makers in the room, it's important that they're all kept on the same page. And when you do alter that plan, because you can get down the road and one person's directing you, say, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to adjust. And Bob over here has been left out of the picture. Maybe Bob is painting his house. And so Bob hasn't been to the office. It's always Bob. And he comes back into the flow and goes, hey, well, I thought we were working on this. I thought this was the plan. Well, it changed. You gotta communicate. And we can't say that enough.
Yeah, and when you watch it, when you go back to that old fairy tale, or however that's titled, The Tortoise and the Hare, it's a blast watching the hare. He's just a rascal, and he's fast, man, and he's wily, and he's shifty. And the turtle's just...
That's how he sounds, too.
But stays on course, headed towards that long-term objective. And that's pretty much not just the thought process, but that's the reality of good, solid return on your investment marketing.
Right.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. Now we'll do magic tricks.
You know,
I don't do magic.
As a child, I was very young. No, I think that's probably it, and that's a lot, and it's important stuff to think about, and not just think about it, but get it done, execute it, stay the course.
Embrace it.
Wow.
Remember this one? You remember this one?
I do. Oh, Lord. Wow, yes.
Well,
yes,
that's me embracing a long-term marketing plan.
That's it. Embrace it. Be it. Love it.
That's the impression for today.
That's it. I'm Dan Ferris.
I'm Michael Williamson.
We are Complete Media, and we care.
Good night, Gracie.